the Big 12 championship, number 10 Kansas State versus number 3 TCU at 12 p.m. in Arlington at AT&T Stadium. A lot of people want to say this game has playoff implications, and it may. Some people say TCU has to win this game to get in the playoffs, and they might. But I really don't think so. TCU is one of only 3 undefeated teams left in the entire FBS. That says something. They won games, and they won them in tough environments. They proved themselves all season, and they're still honestly not getting the credit they've earned. I honestly don't think they have to win this game in order to make it. Unlike USC and Ohio State, they have a 0 in the loss column. They've already played Kansas State and won. If they lose, that would only be 1 loss on their record in the Big 12 championship game to a team they've already beaten. I just don't see it. USC really is the only team that could be knocked out if they lose this weekend. And we talked about that on Wednesday. We talked about that yesterday. So, yeah, I don't think TCU needs this to solidify their playoff spot. I think even if they lose, they're in. That's not my official pick. I'm just saying TCU doesn't have to win this one. What do you think, Isaac?
Mason, going back to our reaction to the rankings yesterday, honestly, I still agree with you a lot. TCU has played a great season. They've won in tough environments. One of the toughest of which I would have to say was last weekend in Waco when they went into Baylor. And even though they had to come from behind, they won with a field goal as time expired. To a lackluster Baylor team, for lack of a better word. Honestly, TCU's proven themselves, and like you said, they have a 0 in the loss column. There's no reason TCU doesn't get in, whether they win or whether they lose. Not my official pick, but I think TCU will be in either way, so it'll be a good game. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
Definitely. The spread on this one is TCU 2.5. The matchup predictor is TCU 54%. So the professionals think this game is going to be really close. And I think that it's a consensus for all of us that this game is going to be really close no matter who wins. Joey is picking first. Joey has Kansas State to win this game. Joey thinks that that because they didn't play with Adrian Martinez when they played in the regular season, and because that game was within 10, that Kansas State is going to come into the Big 12 championship with a better team and get this win. For me, I completely disagree with that. I got TCU, and I got TCU to cover the spread, obviously, because I don't think they're going to win by 2. I think they're going to win by at least 3. This game probably will be pretty close, but we've already seen the outcome of this one. I'm not saying it's going to be the same because that game was not in a neutral site. It was at TCU. But is this really a neutral site? Kansas State's coming from Kansas. Texas Christian is in Texas. There's probably going to be way more Texas Christian fans at this game than Kansas State fans. So this is probably going to be more 75% home crowd for TCU. I got TCU to win and to cover. I think that it'll be a close game. I think Kansas State's going to show up, and I think it's going to be close, but I don't think they have enough to pull it out, especially after the way we saw TCU play against Iowa State this past Saturday. Look, I know that they've had to come from behind in some games, but they just demolished Iowa State the week before they play Kansas State. It wasn't even a trap game. It wasn't even close. And Iowa State, like I said last week, their offense doesn't prove it, but they have one of the best defenses in the Big 12. So that's my pick on that one.
Yeah, Mason, I have to agree, man. TCU's had a great year. K-State played them close last time. Kansas State's had a really good year. They're a top 10 team for the first time in several years. The Big 12 has been a just completely turned upside down this year. Oklahoma's run it for several years now, and all these guys come to the top, whereas Baylor and Oklahoma were at the bottom. Texas was somewhere in the middle. But all that being said, I think it's going to be a great game. TCU's favored by 2.5. I got to say, I'm going to go with the Horned Frogs. I like them to cover the spread. I think TCU by a field goal. I think this will be a really close game, and I think the Horned Frogs will come out on top and take the three spot in the CFB convincingly and roll into the playoffs with an undefeated record.
I love what you said about the Big 12, about how it's flipped. If you would have told me in week 1 that TCU is going to go to the Big 12 championship undefeated with wins against Texas and Oklahoma and Kansas State in the regular season, I would have told you that you're nuts. Like, I would have been on the message board saying, you guys have no idea what you're talking about. Because, Max Duggan started as the backup. The original quarterback got hurt. He stepped in, and he has just balled all season. Defense has had a little bit of some struggles. He has too. But, he's led the team in some huge comebacks, especially against Baylor and Oklahoma State. But I mean, TCU has just been phenomenal, and I think that they deserve some credit, and they nonetheless have earned the credit. So, yeah, they're a good football team, and I think that no matter what happens in this game, they're going to the playoffs.